Little Julie Bill sat trembling on the velvet-cushioned seat in her family's private dressing room. Her small hands gripped her knees tightly. Her green eyes were wide with fear, staring straight ahead at nothing. Natasha stood behind her, wearing her green and white housemaid uniform, gloved hands gently lifting a section of Julie's blonde hair. Her face was calm, her touch careful and tender. Then everything stopped. Natasha's eyes went wide. Her expression shifted from gentle concern to absolute horror. Her mouth fell open in shock. She stared at what she'd found beneath Julie's hair, frozen in disbelief. Behind them in the doorway connecting to the next room, a man in a burgundy business suit grabbed his head with both hands. His face turned ghost white. His eyes squeezed shut as if trying to block out what he was seeing. He looked like he was witnessing his worst nightmare come to life. His own daughter suffering under his roof while he'd been too blind to notice. But let me tell you how we got here. This story will chill you to your core, and then it will show you what real courage looks like. Before we continue, let us know in the comments section what time it is and where you're watching from. And remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the story. Now let's continue. Julie was only 10 years old. She lived in one of the most magnificent mansions in all of Ohio. It had 20 bedrooms with marble floors. It had fountains that lit up at night in different colors. It had a private library with first edition books, a home theater with velvet seats, and gardens so perfectly manicured they looked like paintings. Crystal chandeliers hung from ceilings 2 stories high. Heated floors kept every room warm in winter. The kitchen had countertops made of Italian marble and appliances that cost more than most people's cars. But Julie was the loneliest child in the entire state. Her daddy was Greg Bill. He was a broker, one of the best in the country. He made deals worth millions before most people finished breakfast. He owned properties in 5 states. He flew in private jets. He closed business deals that changed companies forever. People whispered his name with respect and fear. People called him brilliant. People called him ruthless. People called him a millionaire many times over. That means he had more money than most families would see in 10 generations. More money than Julie could ever count. But money can't buy everything. And what Julie needed most, money couldn't give her. Julie's parents divorced when she was 8 years old. A bitter, ugly divorce that lasted months. Julie barely understood what was happening. Just raised voices behind closed doors. Just her mother crying in the bathroom. Just cold silences at dinner. Just lawyers in dark suits carrying briefcases. Just the day her mother moved out and never came back. After the divorce, Daddy changed. He stopped asking about her day. He stopped tucking her in. He looked tired all the time, like something inside him broke. He worked even more hours than before. He left the house before Julie woke up. He came home long after she fell asleep. Sometimes Julie didn't see him for 3 or 4 days. Sometimes a whole week would pass and Julie would only hear his footsteps in the hallway late at night, only see his shadow passing under her door. The big mansion felt like a tomb. The hallways echoed with emptiness. Julie's footsteps sounded too loud when she walked. Every room felt cold, even with the fireplaces burning. Even with all the luxury, even with all the beautiful things, she felt like a ghost haunting her own home. She had everything a child could want. Her bedroom was bigger than most apartments. Toys filled an entire room, dolls with handmade dresses, stuffed animals from every country, board games still in their boxes, a dollhouse with real electricity. Books lined the walls, art supplies covered tables, a tablet loaded with games and movies. But toys can't hug you goodnight. Toys can't tell you you're loved. Toys can't wipe away your tears. Toys can't make the loneliness go away. Julie would sit in that enormous playroom surrounded by $10,000 worth of toys, and she felt more alone than a child living in an empty house. Julie's main caretaker was a woman named Donna Jenkins. She was an older white woman with gray hair and cold blue eyes. Her face was hard, like stone. Her mouth rarely smiled. Her voice was sharp and cutting. Donna had worked for the Bill family for years. She loved Greg's ex-wife. She thought the ex-wife was perfect, beautiful, kind, everything a woman should be. When Greg divorced her, Donna never forgave him. She hated Greg for it. She blamed him for everything. And worst of all, she took that hatred out on Julie. "Don't touch that. Donna would snap when Julie reached for anything. Don't make a mess. Don't run. Don't laugh so loud. Go to your room. Stay out of my way. Her voice was ice. Her words cut like glass. Julie tried so hard to be good. She really tried. She stayed quiet as a mouse. She walked on tiptoes. She spent hours alone in her room. She didn't ask for anything. She barely spoke at all. But nothing was ever good enough. When Julie accidentally knocked over a glass of water, Donna yelled. When Julie forgot to put her books away exactly right, Donna yelled. When Julie cried because she missed her mother, Donna yelled even louder. You're just like your father, Donna would say, her voice dripping with poison. Selfish, spoiled. You have everything and you're still not happy. You should be grateful for what you have. You should never complain. But Julie didn't have everything. She didn't have the one thing that mattered. She didn't have love. She wanted someone to care about her, someone to hold her when she was scared, someone to tell her she was good and loved and wanted. Instead, she got Donna's bitterness and her father's absence. The worst part was what happened to Julie's hair. Julie had beautiful blonde hair, long and soft and golden like honey in sunlight. Before the divorce, her mother used to brush it every night, gently working through every tangle, humming soft songs while she stroked the brush through Julie's hair. Those memories felt like dreams now, distant and fading. But Donna never brushed Julie's hair. Never. Not once, not ever. I'm not your mother, Donna would say, waving her hand dismissively. Brush it yourself. You're old enough. Stop being so dramatic. Julie tried. She really did try, but she was only 10. Her arms got tired reaching behind her head. She couldn't see the back. The brush got stuck in tangles and knots. She pulled until tears streamed down her face, but the tangles only got worse. And then there was something else, something terrifying. Julie's scalp started hurting, really hurting. At first, it was just tender spots where Donna had yanked her hair during baths. Donna didn't brush gently. She ripped the brush through, pulling so hard that Julie saw stars. She ignored Julie's crying. She ignored Julie's begging her to stop. Then the pain got worse, a constant ache, a throbbing that wouldn't stop. Julie felt something wrong under her hair, something swollen and hot to the touch. She was too scared to look. She was too scared to tell anyone. She wore hoodies all the time, even inside the warm mansion, trying to hide. Every night, alone in her enormous bed, Julie would cry into her pillow. Her head hurt so bad. The pain pulsed with her heartbeat, but she was too embarrassed to tell anyone, too afraid. Donna had whispered terrible things to her. Your father doesn't want you, Donna had said one night, her voice low and cruel. He wishes you had never been born. If you cause trouble, if you complain, he'll send you away to boarding school. You'll be completely alone, so keep your mouth shut. Julie believed her. She stayed silent. She suffered alone. She thought she was a bad girl, a broken girl, a girl nobody could love. Meanwhile, Greg Bill had no idea what was happening in his own home. He was too busy, too distracted, too buried in his grief and his work to notice his daughter was dying inside. He had no idea that something horrifying was growing under her scalp. He had no idea that his little girl cried herself to sleep every single night. Across town lived a woman named Natasha Lee. Natasha was 29 years old. She was a single mother with a 10-year-old daughter named Betty. Natasha worked as a housemaid, cleaning homes to pay the bills. It wasn't glamorous work, but Natasha was proud of it. She was hardworking, honest, and kind. She loved her daughter more than anything in the world. But money was tight, really tight. Rent was due. Bills piled up on the kitchen table. Betty needed new shoes. The car needed repairs. Natasha worked long hours at multiple houses, but it was never quite enough. When she saw an ad for a live-in housemaid position at the Bill Mansion, with a salary triple what she was making, she applied immediately. Greg Bill hired her within days. He needed someone reliable, someone affordable, someone who wouldn't ask too many questions. Natasha seemed perfect. The day Natasha moved into the Bill Mansion, she felt like she stepped into a dream. She had never seen such luxury, such wealth, such beauty. But within hours, she realized something was terribly wrong. The mansion was too quiet, too cold, too sad. And then she met Julie. My name is Julie Bill, and I live in a palace. That's what the other kids called it when they used to come over, back when Mommy was still here. back when we had parties and laughter and people filling up the rooms. A palace. 20 bedrooms with their own bathrooms. Fountains in the courtyard that dance to music at night. Heated marble floors that keep your feet warm even in winter. A library with leather chairs and books that smell like vanilla. A home theater with red velvet seats like a real movie theater. Gardens that look like something from a fairy tale. But palaces and storybooks are supposed to be happy places. Mine feels like a prison. Daddy is never home anymore. He leaves before I wake up, and most nights I'm already asleep when he gets back. Sometimes I hear his car pull into the garage late at night, hear his footsteps in the hallway, and I want to run out and hug him. But I don't. I stay in bed, pretending to sleep, because Donna says Daddy is tired and I shouldn't bother him. Sometimes I go 3 whole days without seeing his face, just his shadow passing under my door, just the smell of his cologne lingering in the hallway, just the sound of his voice on the phone in his office, talking about numbers and deals and things I don't understand. I have everything a kid could want. My playroom is bigger than most people's houses. That's what Donna says. Shelves full of dolls with real hair and fancy dresses. Stuffed animals from every country you can think of. Board games still in their plastic wrap. A dollhouse with tiny furniture and working lights. Art supplies, tablets, books with beautiful pictures. But I sit in that room and feel like I'm drowning in toys. They just stare at me with their plastic eyes. They can't talk to me. They can't tell me everything's going to be okay. They can't make me feel less alone. The nights are the worst. My bedroom is huge, probably bigger than 3 normal bedrooms put together. It has a 4-poster bed with curtains, a walk-in closet, a window seat where I used to read with Mommy. But at night, it feels too big, too empty, too quiet. The shadows stretch across the walls and look like monsters. The silence is so heavy I can hear my own heartbeat. I remember when Mama used to tuck me in. She'd brush my hair, sing me songs, tell me stories until I fell asleep. She'd kiss my forehead and whisper, "Sweet dreams, my beautiful girl." Now nobody tucks me in. Nobody sings to me. Nobody tells me I'm beautiful. That's when I cry. Every single night I bury my face in my pillow and cry as quietly as I can. I muffle the sound so Donna won't hear me from down the hall. Because if she hears me, she'll yell. She'll tell me I'm being dramatic. She'll tell me I'm ungrateful. She'll tell me I should be happy because I have everything. But I don't have everything. I don't have the one thing I need most. I don't have anyone who loves me. I started wearing hoodies all the time, even inside the house where it's always warm. Oversized hoodies that swallow me up, that I can hide inside. The hood covers my hair, covers my face, makes me invisible. Donna doesn't like it. She says it looks sloppy, that a girl from a good family shouldn't dress like that. But I don't care. The hoodie makes me feel safe, like I have armor protecting me from the world. And then there's my head. It started a few weeks ago, after one of Donna's bath times. She doesn't brush my hair gently like Mommy used to. She rips the brush through it, yanking so hard my neck snaps back. When I cry and ask her to stop, she just pulls harder. "Stop being so dramatic," she says. "It's just hair." But it's not just hair. After that night, my scalp started hurting. Just a little at first, like a bruise, then more. A constant ache that throbs with my heartbeat. When I touch the back of my head, there's a spot that feels swollen, hot, tender. It hurts when I lie on my pillow. It hurts when I try to brush my hair myself. It hurts all the time. I'm scared to tell anyone. Donna already thinks I complain too much. And Daddy, even if I could see him, what would I say? He has so many important things to worry about. Deals worth millions of dollars. People depending on him. He doesn't need his daughter bothering him about a little headache. Besides, Donna told me something last week that made my blood run cold. We were in the kitchen, and I asked if I could call Mommy. Donna's face went hard. She leaned down close to me, her voice low and mean. "Your father doesn't want you here," she whispered. "He wishes the divorce took you away too. If you cause problems, if you complain, he'll send you to boarding school. You'll be alone forever, so keep your mouth shut." I believed her. Why wouldn't I? Daddy never spends time with me anymore. Maybe he really doesn't want me. Maybe I really am too much trouble. So I keep quiet. I hide the pain. I hide the fear. I hide everything. At night in my enormous bedroom, in my palace that feels like a tomb, I cry into my pillow and pray that somebody, somewhere will notice I'm drowning. But nobody ever does. My name is Donna Jenkins, and I've worked for the Bill family for 12 years. 12 years of loyalty, dedication, service. I gave everything to this household. I loved Mrs. Catherine Bill like she was my own daughter. Beautiful Catherine with her kind eyes and gentle voice. She treated me with respect, asked about my day, remembered my birthday. She was a real lady, graceful, elegant, everything a woman should be. And then Greg threw her away like garbage. The divorce was a disgrace, an absolute disgrace. Catherine did nothing wrong, nothing. Greg just decided he didn't want to be married anymore, decided his wife was inconvenient, decided work was more important than family. He crushed that poor woman's heart and didn't even care. I watched Catherine cry herself sick, watched her pack her beautiful things and leave this mansion with nothing. And Greg, he just went back to work, cold as ice. Now I'm stuck here with his daughter, Julie. That child is just like her father, selfish, needy, always wanting attention. She has everything a child could dream of and still finds reasons to complain, still finds reasons to cry. Every time I look at her, I see Greg's eyes staring back at me. It makes my blood boil. This morning I found her sitting in the hallway wearing that ridiculous, oversized hoodie again. "Take that off," I snapped. "You look like a homeless person. Your father pays for the finest clothes and you dress like that?" She just stared at me with those big green eyes, saying nothing. That silent treatment, another thing she got from Greg. Always shutting people out. Bath time is the worst. Julie acts like I'm torturing her when I wash her hair, whimpering and crying like a drama queen. Last night I filled the tub and called her in. She came slowly, dragging her feet, that fearful look on her face that makes me even angrier. "Sit down," I ordered. She obeyed, trembling like a frightened rabbit. When I started brushing her hair, she immediately started whining. "That hurts." "Donna, please be gentle." "Oh, stop being so dramatic," I cut her off, yanking the brush through harder. "It's just hair. If you kept it neat, this wouldn't hurt. But you let it get tangled because you're lazy." She started crying then, those fake tears designed to make me feel guilty. I pulled the brush through more forcefully, watching her wince. Good. Maybe pain will teach her some discipline. Maybe it'll teach her the world doesn't revolve around her feelings. "Donna, please stop," she begged, her voice breaking. "My head really hurts." "Everything hurts with you," I said coldly, setting the brush down with a sharp crack against the tile. "You're the most dramatic child I've ever met. You have a mansion, toys, private tutors, everything. And you still find reasons to complain." I noticed something then, a swollen area on the back of her scalp, slightly red and raised. She flinched when the brush touched it. Part of me wondered if I should mention it to Greg, but then I thought, no. The child probably did it to herself, scratching and pulling because she doesn't take care of her hair properly. Besides, Greg doesn't need to be bothered with Julie's dramatics. He has enough on his plate without dealing with his daughter's constant need for attention. "Your father works harder than anyone I know," I told her as I rinsed her hair roughly. "He provides everything for you, but is he rewarded with gratitude? No. All you do is cry and complain." Julie said nothing, just sat there shaking. "You want to know the truth?" I leaned in close, my voice low. "Your father doesn't want to deal with you. That's why he's never home. That's why he works all the time. You remind him of everything he lost. If you cause more problems, if you become more trouble than you're worth, he'll send you away to boarding school. And then you'll really be alone." Her eyes went wide with terror. Perfect. Maybe fear will teach her what kindness couldn't. In the kitchen later, I watched Julie eat her dinner in silence, that hoodie pulled up over her damp hair. She kept touching the back of her head when she thought I wasn't looking, wincing slightly. The swelling looked a bit worse than before, but I turned away. She's probably exaggerating the pain. Children do that for attention. "Stop touching your head," I said sharply, "and sit up straight. You look pathetic." She pulled her hand away quickly, dropping it into her lap. That obedience, that's what I want. Quiet compliance. No whining, no crying, no dramatic displays. Just a child who knows her place and stays out of my way. If her head hurts a little, well, that's what happens when you don't take care of yourself. That's what happens when you're careless and lazy. Pain teaches lessons that words can't. Every night I hear her crying in her room, soft, muffled sobs she thinks I can't hear. It irritates me beyond measure. What does she have to cry about? A roof over her head? Food on the table? A father who works himself to exhaustion to provide for her? She should be grateful. She should be thanking God for her blessings. Instead, she cries. Always crying, just like her father destroyed Catherine with his selfishness, Julie destroys my peace with her constant emotional displays. The swelling on her scalp continued growing over the following weeks. I noticed it getting larger, more pronounced, but I said nothing. If Julie wanted help, she could speak up, but she stayed silent, hiding under that hoodie, touching the tender spot when she thought I wasn't watching. Let her learn the hard way. Let her understand that actions have consequences. Let her suffer a little. Maybe it'll build character. Maybe it'll teach her that the world isn't soft and gentle like she wants it to be. I'm not cruel. I'm practical. I'm teaching this child what her father and mother failed to teach her: discipline, resilience, strength. If that means she has to endure some discomfort, so be it. In the end, she'll thank me for making her stronger. And if Greg ever finds out and questions my methods, I'll simply tell him the truth, that his daughter is dramatic, attention-seeking, and needs firm boundaries. He'll believe me. He always does. My name is Natasha Lee. I'm 29 years old, single mother to my beautiful 10-year-old daughter, Betty, and I clean houses for a living. Not exactly glamorous work, but it pays the bills. Barely. Our apartment is small. One bedroom that Betty and I share, a tiny kitchen, a bathroom with a shower that leaks. The walls are thin enough that we hear our neighbors arguing at night, but it's ours. We make it work. This morning I was sitting at our wobbly kitchen table staring at a stack of bills that seemed to grow taller every week. Rent past due, electric bill final notice, Betty's school fees, car insurance, medical bills from when she had the flu last month. I did the math 3 times, hoping somehow the numbers would change. They never did. I was working 3 cleaning jobs already, 6 days a week, leaving before sunrise and coming home after dark. Betty stayed with my neighbor, Mrs. Chen, after school. It wasn't enough. It was never enough. That's when I saw the ad online. Live-in housemaid needed for private residence. Excellent salary, room and board included, immediate start. The salary listed was triple what I was making now. My heart started pounding. Live-in meant Betty could come with me. Room and board meant no more rent, no more utility bills. This could change everything. I applied immediately, my hands shaking as I typed. 2 days later, I got a call. The voice on the other end was professional, clipped, efficient. Mr. Greg Bill needed someone reliable to help maintain his household. Could I interview tomorrow? Yes, I said without hesitation. Absolutely yes. The Bill mansion took my breath away. I'd never seen anything like it in real life, only in movies. The driveway alone was longer than my entire street. Fountains, gardens, windows that stretched 2 stories high. A butler answered the door. A butler. I felt like I'd stepped into a different world. Greg Bill was exactly what I expected. Expensive suit, tired eyes, phone constantly buzzing. He interviewed me in his home office, barely looking up from his laptop. You understand this is a live-in position, he said. You and your daughter would have your own suite. Responsibilities include general housekeeping, meal preparation, maintaining the main living areas. My current housekeeper, Donna, handles my daughter's care primarily. You'd be assisting her. I nodded, trying not to seem too desperate. I have excellent references, Mr. Bill. I'm hardworking, reliable, and You're hired, he interrupted. Can you start Monday? Just like that. 3 minutes and my life changed. Monday morning, Betty and I moved into the Bill mansion. Our suite was bigger than our entire apartment had been. Betty couldn't stop spinning in circles, laughing. Mom, we have our own bathroom with a bathtub. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Then I met Julie. She was standing in the hallway when I came downstairs that first morning. 10 years old, same age as Betty. Blonde hair, green eyes, wearing an oversized gray hoodie that swallowed her small frame. She looked up at me briefly, then immediately looked down at the floor. Her shoulders were hunched forward. Her hands disappeared into the hoodie sleeves. Everything about her body language screamed, "Don't look at me, don't touch me, don't notice me." "Hi, sweetheart," I said gently, crouching down to her eye level. "I'm Natasha. I'm going to be working here now. What's your name?" She flinched when I smiled at her, actually flinched, like she expected me to hit her. "Julie," she whispered, so quietly I barely heard it. "It's nice to meet you, Julie. I have a daughter your age. Her name's Betty. Maybe you two could—" "Julie!" Donna's voice cut through the hallway like a knife. "Stop bothering the new help. Go to your room." Julie's eyes went wide with fear. She scurried away without another word, practically running up the stairs, that huge hoodie making her look even smaller. Something twisted in my stomach. That wasn't normal. Over the next few days, I watched Julie carefully. She never made eye contact, never spoke unless spoken to, wore that same hoodie constantly, even though the mansion was warm. She walked along the walls like she was trying to be invisible. At meals, she ate in complete silence, eyes on her plate, shoulders hunched. One morning, I tried to gently touch her shoulder as I passed. She jerked away so fast she knocked over her juice glass. "I'm sorry," she gasped, tears instantly filling her eyes. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." "Hey, it's okay," I said softly. "Accidents happen. No big deal." But she was already crying, trembling, looking toward the kitchen doorway like she expected punishment. That's when I noticed, when she turned her head, bruise-like marks on her neck, partially hidden by the hoodie collar. That night I heard it, crying, soft, muffled sobbing coming from Julie's room down the hall. I stood outside her door, my heart breaking. A child shouldn't cry like that, like she's trying desperately not to be heard, like she's afraid of what will happen if anyone knows she's hurting. I knocked gently. The crying stopped immediately. "Julie, honey, it's Natasha. Are you okay?" Silence, then very quietly, "I'm fine. Please don't tell Donna I was crying. Please don't tell Donna I was crying. What kind of child says that?" I pressed my hand against the door, tears burning my own eyes. Something was very, very wrong in this house. This wasn't just a sad kid missing her mother. This was something deeper, darker. This was a child who'd been hurt so badly she'd learned to hide her pain. I thought about my Betty, sleeping soundly in our suite, happy, confident, unafraid. Then I thought about Julie, alone in that enormous bedroom, crying into her pillow, terrified of being heard. Both 10 years old, both deserving love and safety and kindness. But only one of them had it. I made a decision that night, standing in that dark hallway. I didn't know exactly what was happening to Julie Bill, but I was going to find out, and I was going to help her. Whatever it took. This little girl needed someone to fight for her, and I was going to be that someone. It was 3 o'clock in the morning when I heard it again. That sound that had been haunting me for days now. Julie crying, soft, muffled sobs coming from behind her bedroom door. I was lying in bed next to Betty, who was sleeping peacefully, one arm thrown over her favorite stuffed bunny. I listened to my daughter's steady breathing, then listened to Julie's broken crying down the hall. The contrast shattered my heart. I couldn't take it anymore. I slipped out of bed quietly, pulled on my robe, and padded down the dark hallway. The mansion was silent except for Julie's crying. I stood outside her door for a moment, listening. She was trying so hard to be quiet, sobbing into what sounded like a pillow, gasping for breath between cries. This wasn't normal sadness. This was the sound of a child in pain. I knocked gently. The crying stopped instantly, like someone had flipped a switch. "Julie," I whispered. "Honey, it's Natasha. Can I come in?" Silence. Then very quietly, her small voice. "I'm okay. Please go away." "Sweetie, you don't sound okay. I just want to make sure you're all right." More silence. Then I heard movement, footsteps crossing the room. The door opened a crack. Julie's face appeared, red and swollen from crying, eyes puffy, cheeks streaked with tears. She was wearing that oversized gray hoodie even though it was the middle of the night, even though her room was warm. "I'm fine," she whispered, not meeting my eyes. "I just had a bad dream. I'm sorry I woke you." "You didn't wake me," I said softly, "and it's okay to have bad dreams. Can I come in? Just for a minute?" She hesitated, then opened the door wider. I stepped into her enormous bedroom, bigger than my entire old apartment. It should have been a child's paradise, but it felt cold and lonely. Julie climbed back into her huge bed, pulling the covers up to her chin, disappearing into that hoodie. I sat on the edge of her bed. "You know, my daughter Betty has bad dreams sometimes too. It helps when someone sits with her for a bit." Julie's lip trembled. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. "Nobody ever sits with me," she whispered. "Donna says I'm too old for that. She says I need to be tougher." My heart cracked. "You're 10 years old, Julie. You're not too old to need comfort." I reached out to gently brush a strand of hair from her face, and she flinched, hard, like she expected me to hit her. I pulled my hand back slowly. "I'm not going to hurt you, sweetheart. I promise." She nodded, but her body stayed tense, coiled like a frightened animal ready to run. We sat in silence for a few minutes, and eventually her breathing steadied. She fell asleep still wearing that hoodie, still curled into a tight ball. I sat there watching her for a long time, questions multiplying in my mind. Why does she flinch? Why is she so afraid? Why does she wear that hoodie all the time? The next morning, I found Julie in the upstairs bathroom. She was standing in front of the sink, struggling to brush her hair with one hand while holding the hood of her sweatshirt with the other, like she was trying to keep something hidden. Her face was scrunched up in pain. "Good morning, Julie," I said gently from the doorway. She jumped, dropping the brush. It clattered into the sink. "I'm sorry," she gasped. "I didn't mean—" "Hey, no apologies needed," I said, walking in slowly. "I just came to check on you. You doing okay this morning?" She nodded quickly, but I could see tears forming in her eyes. She was in pain, real physical pain. "Julia, can I help you with your hair?" I asked softly. "I'm pretty good at braiding. I do Betty's hair every morning." She went very still. Her hands gripped the edge of the sink. I, I don't," she stammered. "It's okay if you don't want me to," I said, "but if your head hurts, sometimes gentle brushing can help. My mom used to brush my hair when I was your age. It always made me feel better." Slowly, hesitantly, Julie nodded. But when I reached out to lift her hood, she pulled back sharply. "Please don't touch my head," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Donna says I'm being dramatic, but it hurts." She was trembling. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "It hurts so much, Natasha, but I'm not supposed to complain. I'm supposed to be tougher. I'm supposed to handle it myself." Every instinct in my body screamed danger. This wasn't normal. "Julie, where does it hurt?" She touched the back of her head very gently, wincing. "Here. And, and there's something wrong. Something feels wrong. But Donna says it's my fault because I don't take care of my hair properly." My blood went cold. "Can I see?" I asked very gently. She shook her head, terror flooding her face. "If Daddy finds out I'm complaining, Donna says he'll send me away. She says he doesn't want me here. She says I caused too many problems already." "Julie, stop." I crouched down to her level, looking directly into her frightened green eyes. "That is not true. None of that is true. And if something hurts, you are not being dramatic. You are not causing problems. Your body is telling you something is wrong, and we need to listen to it." She stared at me like I'd just spoken a foreign language, like the concept of someone listening to her pain was completely alien. Over the following days, I watched Julie constantly. I couldn't stop myself. And the more I watched, the more wrong things I noticed. She never ever let anyone see her hair. If someone came too close, she pulled that hood up tighter. At meals, she sat carefully, wincing slightly when her head touched the back of the chair. I saw her scratching her scalp when she thought no one was looking, but gently, fearfully, like even touching it hurt. She turned her head stiffly, like her neck was sore. When Betty accidentally bumped into her from behind, Julie cried out in pain and clutched the back of her head. The hoodies made sense now. She wasn't just hiding from the world, she was hiding an injury. One afternoon, I watched her lie down on the couch in the library. She tried to rest her head on a pillow and immediately winced, adjusting so she was lying on her side instead, keeping the back of her head from touching anything. That's when I knew for certain something was seriously wrong. This wasn't just emotional pain or sadness or grief. Julie had a physical injury, one that was being ignored, one that was getting worse, one that was causing her constant agony. I thought about confronting Donna, but my gut told me that would be a mistake. Donna would deny it, make excuses, maybe even punish Julie for tattling. I thought about going directly to Greg, but he was never home. And when he was, he barely looked up from his phone. No, I needed proof. I needed to see what Julie was hiding under that hood, under that hair. I needed to understand how bad it really was. Only then could I help her. Only then could I save her. That night, I made a decision. Tomorrow, I would find a way to get Julie alone, to get her to trust me enough to let me see what she was hiding. I had to be patient. I had to be gentle. Rushing would only scare her. But time was running out. Every day that passed, Julie winced a little more, cried a little harder, flinched a little faster. Whatever was wrong with her head was getting worse, and I was terrified of what I would find when I finally saw it. It took me 6 days to earn Julie's trust. 6 careful, patient days of sitting with her at breakfast, asking gentle questions, showing her that I wasn't like Donna, that I wouldn't hurt her, that I actually cared. I introduced her to Betty, and watching them play together, tentatively at first, then with growing confidence, melted my heart. Julie smiled for the first time, a real smile. It lit up her whole face. On the 7th night, I knocked softly on her bedroom door. "Julie, can I come in?" I heard quiet footsteps, then the door opened. She was wearing her pajamas and that ever-present gray hoodie. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying again. "Hi, sweetheart," I said gently. "I brought you some warm milk. Betty says it helps her sleep better." I held out the mug. She took it with both hands, whispering thank you so quietly I barely heard it. We sat together on her bed. She sipped the milk slowly, carefully, like she was afraid of spilling it. "Julie," I said softly, "I've been worried about you, about your head. You said it hurts." She went very still. The mug trembled in her hands. "I know you're scared," I continued, "but I'm not going to tell you you're being dramatic. I'm not going to get angry. I just want to help. Will you let me see?" For a long moment, she said nothing. Tears started rolling down her cheeks. "What if Donna's right?" she whispered. "What if there's something wrong with me? What if Daddy sends me away? Julie, look at me." I waited until her green eyes met mine. "Your father is not going to send you away, and there is nothing wrong with you. But if you're in pain, we need to understand why. That's what people who care about you do. They help when you're hurting." She stared at me for what felt like forever. Then so quietly I almost missed it, she nodded. Just once. A tiny movement of her head. My heart started pounding. "Okay," I said, keeping my voice calm and gentle. "I'm just going to lift your hood. Very slowly, very carefully. If it hurts, you tell me, and I'll stop immediately. Okay?" Another small nod. I reached out with trembling hands and gently, so gently, pulled back her hood. Her blonde hair spilled out, tangled and unwashed. She winced but didn't pull away. "You're doing great, sweetheart," I whispered. "So brave." I carefully lifted a section of hair at the back of her head, and my entire world stopped. My hands froze. My breath caught in my throat. My heart actually seemed to stop beating for a moment. "Oh my God," I whispered. "Oh my God, Julie." Under her blonde hair was something out of a nightmare. A swollen mound the size of a tennis ball rising unnaturally from her scalp. The skin was deep red, angry, inflamed red that looked painful just to look at. Scab cuts crisscrossed the area where hair had been ripped out. Patches were completely bald, the skin underneath damaged and scarred. The bulge was warm to the touch. Hot, actually, radiating heat that meant infection. The entire area was swollen, distorted, grotesque. Parts of it looked almost pulsing, alive, growing. I could see where Donna had yanked her hair, literal torn sections, broken hair shafts, damaged follicles. The infection had spread from those initial injuries, creating this horrifying mass beneath Julie's scalp. "How long?" I whispered, my voice shaking. "How long has this been here, Julie?" "I don't know," she sobbed. "Weeks, maybe longer." It started small after she pulled really hard one night. Then it got bigger, and it hurts so much. "Natasha, it hurts all the time. I can't sleep on that side. I can't brush my hair. I can't." Her voice broke completely. Julie grabbed my hand, her small fingers gripping tight. "Please don't tell Donna," she begged. "Please don't tell Daddy. She said Daddy would send me away if he knew I was complaining. She said he doesn't want me. She said I'm too much trouble already. She said if I told anyone I was in pain, it would prove I'm just a dramatic, spoiled brat who—" "Stop." My voice came out harder than I intended. Julie flinched and I immediately softened. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at Donna. What she told you is a lie, all of it. This—" I gestured at her scalp, my hand shaking. "This is not your fault. This is not you being dramatic. This is serious. This is dangerous. This is—" I couldn't finish the sentence because rage was choking me. This was abuse. This was medical negligence. This was child endangerment. This was a woman who had systematically tortured a 10-year-old child, caused a severe injury through violent hair pulling, then prevented her from getting medical help by terrorizing her into silence. The infection was bad, really bad. I'd worked enough jobs, seen enough injuries to know this wasn't something that would heal on its own. The swelling, the heat, the size of the mass, Julie needed a doctor. Immediately, maybe even the emergency room. This could be a scalp abscess, a severe bacterial infection, maybe even spreading to her bloodstream. "Julie, listen to me very carefully," I said, trying to keep my voice steady even though my whole body was shaking with fury. "This is not your fault. You did nothing wrong, but this is very serious. You need medical help. A doctor needs to see this." "No," she gasped, panic flooding her face. "No doctors. Please. Donna said if I tell anyone, if I cause problems, Daddy will—" "Donna lied to you." I took both her hands in mine. "Your father loves you. He's just lost right now, buried in work, trying to avoid his pain. But if he knew you were suffering like this, if he knew you had an infection this serious, he would move heaven and earth to help you. I promise you that." Tears streamed down Julie's face. "You don't know that. You don't know him. He never talks to me. He never even looks at me." "Then I'll make him look," I said, my voice fierce. "I'll make him see what's been happening in his own house while he's been too distracted to notice. I'll make him understand that his daughter has been abused, neglected, and is now seriously injured." My blood was boiling. Every maternal instinct in my body screamed at me to protect this child, to get her away from Donna, to get her medical help, to make someone pay for what had been done to her. I thought about my own Betty, sleeping safely down the hall. I thought about what I would do if someone hurt her like this. The rage that filled me was white hot, all-consuming. "I need to tell your father," I said, "tonight, right now." "He's not home," Julie whispered. "He won't be back until tomorrow." "Then tomorrow," I said firmly, "first thing tomorrow morning, I'm going to show him what Donna did to you, and then we're taking you to a doctor. No arguments. This ends now." Julie was trembling, terrified, but something in my voice must have convinced her. She nodded slowly. I pulled her into a gentle hug, carefully avoiding touching her injured scalp. She collapsed against me, sobbing, finally letting out years of pain and fear and loneliness. "You're safe now," I whispered into her hair. "I've got you. Nobody is going to hurt you anymore. I promise." But even as I said it, I was thinking about tomorrow, about confronting Greg, about forcing him to see the horror growing under his daughter's scalp, about making sure Donna faced consequences for what she'd done. This was abuse. This was criminal. This was horrifying. And I was going to make absolutely certain that everyone involved understood exactly what had happened in this mansion while they had all looked away. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tomorrow, Julie would finally get the help she desperately needed. Tomorrow, I would save this child's life, no matter what it cost me. I was in my home office reviewing quarterly reports when my door slammed open. I looked up, irritated, ready to snap at whoever had the audacity to interrupt me. Natasha stood in the doorway, her face flushed with anger, her eyes blazing. Behind her, she was pulling Julie by the hand. My daughter looked terrified, tears streaming down her face, wearing that ridiculous oversized hoodie she'd been living in lately. "Mr. Bill," Natasha said, her voice shaking with barely controlled rage. "We need to talk, right now." "I'm in the middle of something important," I said, gesturing at my laptop. "Can this wait until—" "No," she strode across my office, pulling Julie with her. "It absolutely cannot wait. You need to see something. You need to see what's been happening to your daughter while you've been too busy to notice." I felt my jaw tighten. "Excuse me? I don't appreciate—" "Turn around, Julie," Natasha commanded gently. Julie obeyed, turning her back to me, her small shoulders shaking with sobs. Natasha carefully pulled back her hood, lifted her blonde hair, and the world stopped. I saw it, the swollen mass, the angry red inflammation, the bald patches where hair had been torn out, the scabbed cuts crisscrossing her scalp, the unnatural bulge that looked like something was growing under her skin. My stomach lurched, my vision tunneled. I pushed back from my desk so fast my chair crashed against the wall. "What?" The word came out strangled. "What is that? What happened to her?" "This," Natasha said, her voice cold and furious, "is what happens when a child is abused for weeks and nobody notices. This is what happens when a 10-year-old girl cries herself to sleep every single night, and her father is too distracted to hear her. This is what happens when neglect turns into medical emergency." I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I stumbled around my desk toward Julie. "Baby, how long has this been?" "Weeks," Natasha answered when Julie couldn't. "Weeks, Mr. Bill. Your daughter has been suffering with a severe scalp infection for weeks, and you had no idea." The guilt hit me like a physical blow. I fell to my knees in front of Julie, my hands shaking as I reached toward her, then stopped, afraid to hurt her more. "Julie," I whispered, my voice breaking. "Oh God, Julie, I'm so sorry. Why didn't you tell me?" "Donna said—" Julie's voice was barely audible. "Donna said you didn't want me. She said if I complained, if I caused problems, you'd send me away. She said—" Rage exploded through me. "She said what?" I looked up at Natasha. "What the hell has Donna been doing to my daughter?" Natasha's expression was ice, pulling her hair so violently it created wounds, refusing to brush it properly, calling her dramatic when she cried from pain, isolating her with strict rules designed to keep her quiet and invisible, terrorizing her into silence by convincing her you didn't love her, watching this infection grow and doing nothing, absolutely nothing, to help her. Each word was a knife to my chest. I thought about the past months, years really, how I'd buried myself in work after the divorce, how I'd avoided this house, avoided my daughter, avoided facing my own pain by drowning in meetings and deals and business trips, how I'd told myself Julie was fine, that she had everything she needed, that Donna was taking care of her. "I didn't know," I whispered. "I swear to God, I didn't know." "You didn't ask," Natasha shot back. "When's the last time you actually looked at your daughter? Really looked at her? When's the last time you asked how she was? When's the last time you noticed she was in pain?" The truth destroyed me. I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember the last real conversation I'd had with Julie. The last time I'd tucked her in. The last time I'd told her I loved her. I'd been so consumed with my own grief, my own anger at Catherine, my own need to escape, that I'd abandoned my child. I'd left her in the hands of a woman who hated her. I'd let this happen. I broke down. Right there on my office floor, I broke down sobbing. For the first time in years, since the divorce, since Catherine left, since I'd turned my heart to stone, I cried. "I'm sorry," I choked out, reaching for Julie. "I'm so sorry, baby. I failed you. I was supposed to protect you, and I failed you." Julie collapsed into my arms, both of us crying. I held her carefully, so careful not to touch her injured scalp, and I felt her small body shaking against mine. How long had it been since I'd held my daughter? How long since I'd let her know she was loved, wanted, cherished? How bad is it? I asked Natasha over Julie's head, my voice ragged. Honestly, how bad? Bad enough that she needs immediate medical attention, Natasha said. That's not just swelling, Mr. Bill. That's an infection, possibly an abscess, possibly spreading. I'm not a doctor, but I know enough to know this is dangerous. This could cause permanent damage. This could, she paused, her voice softening slightly. This could have killed her if it went much longer without treatment. The words hit me like bullets. Killed her. My daughter could have died from an infection growing on her scalp while I sat in this office reviewing profit margins, while I took calls from Tokyo and flew to New York for meetings, while I told myself I was providing for her by making more money, building more wealth, securing her future. What future would she have if she was dead? We're going to the doctor, I said immediately. Right now, I'll call my physician, get her in. No, Natasha interrupted. We need to go somewhere first. A salon. We need to get a full look at the extent of this injury. We need to see exactly what we're dealing with before we go to the hospital. The hospital? My voice cracked. You think she needs the hospital? I think she needs professional medical care immediately, Natasha said firmly. But first we need to understand the full scope. The salon has the tools, the lighting, the ability to really see what's under her hair. Then we take her to the emergency room. I looked down at Julie, still crying in my arms. My baby, my little girl, the child I'd failed so completely I didn't even know she was dying. Okay, I whispered. Okay, whatever you think, whatever she needs. I pulled back slightly, looking into Julie's tear-stained face. Julie, I need you to listen to me. Donna lied to you. I love you. I have always loved you. I will never, ever send you away. You are my daughter, and you are the most important thing in my world. I'm sorry I forgot that. I'm sorry I made you feel like you didn't matter, but I promise you, I swear to you, that ends today. Right now, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to make sure nobody ever hurts you again. Julie nodded against my chest, her small hands gripping my shirt. I looked at Natasha, this woman I'd barely known 2 weeks ago. This woman who'd done what I should have been doing all along, protecting my child. Thank you, I said, my voice breaking. Thank you for seeing her. Thank you for caring. Thank you for, don't thank me yet, Natasha said quietly. Thank me when she's healthy and safe, and Donna is facing consequences for what she's done. Now get your coat. We're leaving. Now. I stood, lifting Julie in my arms like I used to when she was little. She was so light, too light. Had she been eating enough? Had anyone been paying attention to anything? Let's go, I said. Let's go fix this, whatever it takes. As we walked out of my office, I thought about Donna, about the woman I trusted with my daughter's care, about the monster who had been torturing my child under my own roof. The rage that filled me was unlike anything I'd ever felt. But first I had to make sure Julie was okay. Then I would deal with Donna. Then I would make absolutely certain she paid for every single thing she'd done to my little girl. The salon was beautiful. All white marble floors, crystal chandeliers, floor-to-ceiling windows letting in afternoon sunlight. Elegant, expensive. The kind of place where wealthy women came to feel pampered. I'd never been inside a place like this in my life. Under different circumstances, I might have felt out of place. Right now, I didn't care about anything except getting Julie help. The owner, Marcus, was a friend of Greg's. One phone call and he'd agreed to open the salon just for us, even though it was Sunday. He took one look at Julie, pale, trembling, clutching her father's hand, and his professional demeanor shifted to genuine concern. Let's get her in a chair, he said quietly. Let me see what we're dealing with. Julie sat in the big leather chair, her small hands gripping the armrest so tight her knuckles turned white. Greg stood behind her, one hand on her shoulder. I positioned myself on her other side, ready to comfort her if she needed me. Marcus gently draped a cape around her shoulders, his movements slow and careful. You're doing great, sweetheart, he said softly. I'm just going to look at your hair, okay? I promise to be gentle. Julie nodded, tears already streaming down her face. It hurts, she whispered. I know, honey, Marcus said. We're going to figure out what's wrong. I need you to be brave for just a few more minutes, okay? He reached for his scissors and comb, started to lift her hair carefully, parting it section by section, looking for the injury Natasha had described on the phone. I watched his face, watched the concern turn to confusion, then to shock. He found it, the back of Julie's scalp, hidden under layers of tangled blonde hair. His eyes went wide, his mouth fell open, the scissors slipped from his fingers and crashed to the tile floor with a loud, sharp clang that echoed through the silent salon. Oh my God, he breathed, stepping back slightly. I moved closer, looking over his shoulder, and gasped. The swelling was worse than I'd seen last night. Much worse. In the bright salon lighting, under Marcus's professional examination, the full horror of it was visible. A massive, grotesque bulge rising from Julie's scalp, the size of a large egg now. The skin stretched tight over it, shiny and inflamed, deep red transitioning to purple in places. The shape was disturbing, ridged and uneven, almost like exposed brain tissue, folded and distorted. Scabbed wounds crisscrossed the area, places where Donna had ripped hair out by the roots. Patches of complete baldness surrounded the swelling, the damaged skin underneath is scarred and discolored. Worst of all, the entire area radiated heat. Even from a foot away, I could feel how unnaturally warm it was. Infected. Severely infected. Behind us, Greg made a strangled sound. I turned to see him clutching his head with both hands, his face ghost white, his eyes wide with absolute horror. He looked like he was witnessing his worst nightmare. No, he whispered. No, no, no. How, how did I not see? His voice broke completely. Julie started sobbing, her whole body shaking. I'm sorry, she cried. I'm so sorry. I tried to hide it. I tried not to complain. Donna said, you'd get rid of me if you knew. She said you didn't want me anyway. She said if I caused problems, if I was too much trouble, you'd send me away to boarding school and I'd never see anyone again and I'd be completely alone and... Stop! Greg moved around the chair, dropping to his knees in front of his daughter. Tears streamed down his face. This powerful millionaire, this man who never showed emotion, completely broken. Julie, listen to me. Look at me, baby. She lifted her tear-stained face. Donna lied to you, see, Greg said, his voice shaking. Every single word was a lie. I love you. I have always loved you. You are my daughter, my baby girl, my whole world. I'm not sending you anywhere. I'm never letting you go. Never. He pulled her into his arms, careful not to touch her head, and held her while they both cried. I'm so sorry, he sobbed. I'm so sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry I didn't see. I'm sorry I let someone hurt you. This is my fault. All of it is my fault. Mr. Bill, Marcus said quietly, his professional voice now edged with urgency. I need to be very direct with you. This is far beyond anything I can help with in a salon. This isn't just a scalp injury. This is a severe infection, possibly an abscess, possibly cellulitis spreading through the subcutaneous tissue. See how the swelling has this distinct shape? That suggests the infection has created pockets of fluid or pus beneath the scalp. The heat radiating from the area indicates active bacterial infection. The discoloration suggests possible necrosis, dying tissue. Greg's face went even paler. What are you saying? I'm saying your daughter needs emergency medical care. Right now. Not tomorrow, not in a few hours. Now. This kind of infection can spread to the bloodstream. Sepsis. It can damage tissue permanently. It can... He paused, glancing at Julie, then back to Greg. It can be fatal if left untreated. The word fatal hung in the air like a death sentence. Greg stood abruptly, lifting Julie in his arms. We're going to the hospital, right now. I'll call ahead, Marcus said, already reaching for his phone. Cincinnati Children's Hospital has the best pediatric emergency department. I know the chief of staff. I'll make sure they're ready for you. As Greg carried Julie toward the door, she buried her face in his shoulder, still crying. Daddy, I'm scared. I know, baby, he whispered into her hair. I know you're scared, but I've got you now. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. I promise. I grabbed my coat and followed them out. In the parking lot, Greg's hands were shaking so badly he couldn't get his car keys out. I gently took them from him. I'll drive, I said. You stay in the back with Julie. The drive to the hospital was the longest 15 minutes of my life. Greg held Julie the entire time, whispering to her, telling her stories, trying to keep her calm. But I could see his face in the rearview mirror, the terror, the guilt, the absolute devastation of a father who just realized how close he'd come to losing his child. When we pulled up to the emergency entrance, medical staff were already waiting with a wheelchair. Marcus had called ahead as promised. A doctor took one look at Julie's scalp and immediately called for an isolation room. Possible scalp abscess with systemic infection, she called out to the nurses. Get me IV antibiotics, imaging, and prep for possible surgical drainage. The words washed over me. Surgical drainage, IV antibiotics, systemic infection. This was real. This was life-threatening. This beautiful 10-year-old girl had been hours, maybe days, away from a medical catastrophe. All because a bitter woman had decided to torture a child, and a grieving father had been too distracted to notice. As they wheeled Julie away, Greg tried to follow. A nurse gently stopped him. We need to examine her first, sir. You can see her in just a few minutes. He stood there in the hallway looking lost and broken, watching his daughter disappear through double doors. Then he turned to me, tears still streaming down his face. She could have died, he whispered. My little girl could have died, and I would never have known why. I would never have known it was my fault for not protecting her. You know now, I said quietly, and now you can protect her. Now you can make sure this never happens again. He nodded, but I could see the guilt consuming him, the knowledge that he'd failed the one person who'd needed him most. The understanding that his daughter had suffered for weeks while he'd ignored her pain. In that sterile hospital hallway, under fluorescent lights, Greg Bill finally understood the true cost of his absence. And nothing, no amount of money, no business success, no achievement, would ever erase the image of his daughter's infected scalp or the sound of her sobbing that Donna had convinced her she wasn't worth loving. The doctor's words hit me like physical blows. Dr. Patel stood in front of me in the hospital consultation room, her face serious, a tablet in her hand showing images I couldn't fully process. CT scans of my daughter's skull. Mr. Bill, your daughter has a severe scalp abscess, a pocket of infection containing pus that's been growing for weeks, possibly longer. The infection has spread to the surrounding tissue, what we call cellulitis. We found early signs of sepsis, meaning the infection was beginning to enter her bloodstream. My vision blurred, the room tilted. Natasha grabbed my arm to steady me. What does that mean? I managed to ask, my voice barely a whisper. It means we caught this just in time, Dr. Patel said. If you'd waited another few days, maybe even hours, Julie could have developed systemic sepsis. That's life-threatening. The infection could have caused permanent tissue damage, permanent hair loss in the affected areas, even brain infection if it had penetrated deeper through the skull. Mr. Bill, I need you to understand how serious this is. Your daughter could have died. The last word echoed in my head. Died. My little girl could have died. My legs gave out. I collapsed into the chair behind me, my head in my hands, unable to breathe. We're starting her on IV antibiotics immediately, Dr. Patel continued. She'll need surgical drainage of the abscess under anesthesia. We'll clean out the infected tissue, remove any necrotic material, and leave a drain in place to prevent reaccumulation. She'll be hospitalized for at least 3 to 5 days while we monitor her response to treatment, then several weeks of oral antibiotics at home. I couldn't finish the question. Will she be okay? With proper treatment, yes, Dr. Patel said. But Mr. Bill, I also need to discuss something else with you. The pattern of injury on Julie's scalp, the torn hair follicles, the scarring, the distribution of wounds, these are consistent with traumatic hair pulling. This wasn't an accident. Someone did this to her. Rage flooded through me, hot and overwhelming. Donna, I said through gritted teeth, the previous housekeeper. She, I'm required by law to report suspected child abuse, Dr. Patel said quietly. A social worker and police officer will need to speak with you and Julie. I've already filed the report. Good. I wanted Donna prosecuted. I wanted her to face every possible consequence for what she'd done to my daughter. Do whatever you need to do, I said. I want that woman arrested. I want her charged. I want everyone to know what she did. Over the next days, everything happened in a blur. Julie underwent surgery. They drained the abscess, cleaned the wound, started aggressive antibiotic therapy. I never left the hospital. I slept in a chair beside her bed, held her hand when she woke up crying, promised her over and over that she was safe now. Natasha stayed too, bringing Betty to visit, helping Julie feel less alone. The police came. Julie gave her statement, hesitant, terrified at first, then stronger as she realized she was believed. They arrested Donna at the mansion. She was charged with child abuse, child endangerment, and assault. Her lawyer tried to claim it was an accident, that she'd simply been maintaining discipline, but the medical evidence was overwhelming. The pattern of injuries, the documented neglect, Julie's testimony, Natasha's testimony. Even Marcus from the salon provided a statement about the severity of what he'd witnessed. While Julie recovered in the hospital, I made phone calls. So many phone calls. I fired nearly every staff member at the mansion. People who'd been there while my daughter suffered. People who'd said nothing, done nothing. I hired new staff, but fewer of them. People Natasha helped me vet. People with genuine references. People who understood that Julie's well-being was the only priority that mattered. I restructured my entire work schedule, cut my hours in half, delegated responsibilities to partners, turned down deals that would require travel. My business partners thought I was crazy. Let them think that. My daughter mattered more than any amount of money. When Julie finally came home from the hospital, her head bandaged, her hair cut short to allow the wound to heal properly, the mansion felt different. Natasha had transformed it while we were gone. Flowers in every room, warm lighting instead of cold overhead lights, music playing softly. Betty came running to greet us, throwing her arms around Julie carefully, chattering excitedly about all the fun they'd have now that Julie was home. I watched my daughter smile, really smile, for the first time in years. Over the following weeks, the mansion changed even more. Julie and Betty became inseparable, like sisters. Their laughter echoed through hallways that had been silent for so long. Natasha cooked meals and we all ate together at the kitchen table instead of alone in separate rooms. I came home every day at 5 o'clock. We had dinner together. We played games. We talked, really talked. I learned about Julie's favorite books, her dreams, her fears, her hopes. I learned what I should have known all along, that my daughter was brilliant, funny, creative, and desperately wanted to be loved. Natasha became more than an employee. She became family. The most trusted adult in Julie's world, the mother figure my daughter had been missing since Catherine left. I gave her a permanent position, not as a maid but as household manager and Julie's caregiver. I tripled her salary, gave her and Betty their own wing of the mansion, made sure she knew she was valued, appreciated, essential. Julie's hair grew back slowly. Some patches remained bald, permanent scarring from the severity of the infection. But she didn't hide anymore. She stopped wearing hoodies constantly. She started smiling, started laughing, started acting like the 10-year-old child she should have been all along. Donna's trial happened 6 months later. She was convicted on all charges, sentenced to 3 years in prison plus probation. It wasn't enough. Nothing would ever be enough to make up for what she'd done. But at least Julie knew justice had been served. At least she knew the system had believed her, protected her, validated her pain. One night, about 8 months after the hospital, I walked past Julie's bedroom and heard soft humming. I peeked inside. Julie was asleep, finally peaceful, her face relaxed in a way it never had been before. Beside her bed sat Natasha, humming a gentle lullaby, one hand resting protectively on Julie's shoulder. She looked up when she saw me, smiled softly and whispered. She asked me to stay until she fell asleep. Bad dreams tonight. Thank you, I mouthed silently. Natasha nodded. I stood there watching them for a long moment. This woman who'd saved my daughter's life, who'd fought for her when I'd been too blind to see, who'd given her the maternal love she'd been starving for. The mansion was warm now, full of life and love and laughter. Julie slept through the night for the first time in years, safe and protected, finally knowing she was wanted and loved and valued. I'd failed her once. I'd let my grief and pain blind me to her suffering, but I would never fail her again. My daughter had been given a second chance at childhood, and I'd been given a second chance at being the father she deserved. Some scars would never fully heal. Some damage was permanent. But together with Natasha's help, with Betty's friendship, with love and time and dedication, we were building something new. A real family, a safe home, a future where Julie knew, truly knew, that she mattered more than anything else in the world. The nightmare was over, and finally, blessedly, the healing could begin. If this story moved you, share the moment. Don't let it fade. Follow Motherland Stories and tap that like button to keep these voices alive. Every day we uncover strong stories, raw truths, and quiet acts of courage that shape our world. Join a circle of listeners, dreamers, and changemakers, because every story deserves to be heard. This wasn't just an episode, it was a call to remember. Silence hides injustice. Courage exposes it. At Motherland Stories, we don't turn away. We bear witness. Subscribe and stand with stories that challenge power and celebrate truth.